hopefully this is going to show us a few things here that we're going to work on with Walt. First thing that we're probably going to do is we're going to learn how to stop that knee at the waist, because if the knee goes higher than the waist, typically speaking, you're going to lean back a little bit more, and he just doesn't have enough control of his body yet. As a young kid that an adult might be able to do, like a Nolan Ryan brought his leg way up just like this, but he was also able to keep his balance a little bit better. So we'll start with that, and then the next thing is we're going to get to where we're not bringing this foot behind the rubber. For one, when we start working on pickoff plays and stuff like that, having a lower knee and the foot not crossing the rubber is going to be important, because once it crosses the rubber, that means he has to go home. That's something that we'll pick up on lefties that we play against. So if we go forward a few frames, we're going to work on, and I'll show you here in a second, this back hip. Before that leg gets too high, all right, so if we actually look at it, this is about where I want him to be. But this back hip, we're going to want it, let's go back a couple frames. All right, let's look at right there. On this back hip, I want that back hip driving towards the plate well before the hands separate and everything else. And if you look at on the Daniel Bard clip here, if we go forward just a frame or two on him, let's see. We're going to see this acceleration of that back hip. Sorry for that straight arrow, but that back hip is getting beyond the foot well before his hands even think about breaking. Let me clear these out. On Walt, let's clear that out. Alright, so if we go forward a little bit more on Bard, we're going to see this acceleration right there. Notice the line that's starting to occur here, where we've got that angle and then this angle back. The hands have broken, but you've already seen that hip accelerate. The hand is down here, the glove is down here, which means that he has a very low break. If we look at Walt as he's coming forward, see if we can get him a few frames ahead. What I'm still seeing is a little bit of this back knee bend there. So he should be more in this line with that front leg straighter and this back hip already in, and before he ever breaks his hands. So he's breaking too soon, which is, I guess, my point of all that. And then as we go forward another frame or two, we see this back knee bent like that, which is something that I need to continuously work on him with. And also this stretch back here, he should still be more in tight with his hands. They should just be now breaking there. And if you look, his shoulders go straight across right there with this leg here. If we look at Daniel Bard, let's clear out those lines. And we're going to take him forward a frame or two. Back up right there. That's the position that I want Walt to get in. Walt's shoulders should be more Walt's shoulders should be more like that, the same way that Bard's are here. And what happens is the ball will get down here by the waist, and this glove gets higher. But if you look at Bard's leg right through here, it's almost directly in line with his belt, and his head is actually in line with his belt, but it's back here at this angle. So that's what I see mechanically at first. Let me clear out that line there. Alright, go a few frames more. One thing I talked to Walt yesterday about is if you look at the way this front toe is touching there, and this lean back, which is what you had noticed the other day, or mentioned the other day. But yes, we've got to get that lean back, and we've got to get this head and belt pushed back here a little bit more. We want to get in this line. So this glove still needs to be up. If we look at Bard and go forward another frame or two, we're going to see that his heel is really what is going to be the first thing that touches down, not a toe. Too far. Alright, this heel is what I'm talking about right in through here. Now, this glove hand is still up, and this backhand is still here, and the waist and the hips should be right in through this area, not as far forward as Walt is. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at. As far as stride, we're going to get on that heel instead of on that toe, and then we're going to watch this knee next to make sure it's not drifting. And this has to do with the same thing on the hitting, where you've got to brace up that front leg. He's doing a pretty good job there. We want to get that foot out a little bit more so the bracing happens earlier. He's got good extension and all that for sure. And it's just this lean back. If you look, it's kind of going backwards towards these cages, which is something that we've known about anyhow. So let's go back to the Bard clip here, and we'll see how he's coming through the ball. Let's go back right there. How the trunk is still over the back or the front knee, but the front knee is not nearly as far forward because he's got a long stride length. I mean, other than that, Walt looks good here. He looks good here. Glove placement, arm location. So he's catching back up. He's just not generating quite enough power as you get through the initial step, which is a big velocity changer. And as he's coming through, see that knee start to continue to get further advanced, and now it's actually passing the heel. So what we've got to do is brace that harder so we can pull through it harder. And if we look at Bard, let's see what he's doing. See, everything's back here on that. And until he's already released the ball and his legs up in the air, is he continuing to move forward even to parallel with that or perpendicular with his heel. So that's really what I'm seeing. I'll take you back on Walt.